In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a medieval style archery target. So the purpose of this tutorial is to show you the bevel component. So other than scaling and things like that, the only tool we'll be using, so one of the modifiers, the only one we're going to be using is the bevel tool. So first things first, we want the main target cylinder. So what we need to do, look at these shapes at the top and we're going to select cylinder. So you might think other ones are more fitting, but if we put this in, it will look like how we need it. So if I scale that up to here, we've got a flat cylinder that an archery target would normally be looking like. So if we want to have this as real scale dimensions, a normal person, so in Unreal it's around 1.8 meters is the mannequin starter person, and the average height is around 1.8 meters anyway. So I just like to round that up to 2, so 2 meters, just make it nice and easy. So Maya uses 200 centimeters, centimeters as its unit, so I'm going to put this to 200 centimeters as the reference of my scale. So an archery target, I might say the actual cylinder target bit would be around 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. So I'm doing the scale here. You can change the radius and all that here, but I'm just doing scale for now. So I'm going to put this to what I think is appropriate. So 100 by 10 by 100 looks okay to me. What we then need to do is we need to add rings on this. So currently this doesn't have any definition and we want the mesh to have definition. So we can add definition with the texture, but the easiest way to add that definition is through modeling. Even if you are going to add it through texture, you would need to have it in a model form, which you can then what's called bake down to a model that looks something like this. So what we need to do is we need to add rings. So we can do this on here, so the polycylinder in the channel box / layer editor. We can add caps. So we can add the rings here, but let's say you've already done some modeling in this and you can't change this. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So if I, let's say, select here and I extrude this. So we're not going to be doing extruding, but I'm just going to show you what would be the issue if you change that caps after you've done some modeling. So if we select object selection, go to cylinder, if I then start to increase the caps, it undoes that modeling for you. So, and it makes it mess up. So I'm going to leave that as it is. So I'm going to undo what I did there. So I'm going to show you a way, if you've done some modeling, how to then add some stuff. So undo everything I just did. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to edge selection and select all of these. So I'm going to deselect those that are here. So if I do highlight back faces, if I then go to select these, all of these shouldn't have been selected. So it does mess up sometimes. So I'm just going to do it as it was. So highlight these, and then if I do control and deselect, it'll deselect those. So make sure that you've got all these top ones as orange and these ones as blue. So the ones that are orange are the ones that we want, because we don't need to add in a definition on the back of this, we just need to add it on the front. So if I then press connect, so I lied, so we're doing connect. So the main tool is bevel, but we're also going to do connect. So this is just a way, if you've already modeled a little bit into it, you can add some rings with the connect tool anyway. So if you click connect, change the segments, I've changed it to 3, so you can see these preview rings, and then click connect again, it applies that. So we've now got those rings. So the easiest way would be to do it on the caps, but if you've already modeled some, then we can do it through connect. So now we're only going to be using bevel. So what we need to do, if you double click one of the rings, it then selects the entire ring. If yours is messing up and it's selecting this rather than the ring around, if you select one, then hold shift and then double click the next one in the ring, it will then select that ring. So once we've got these rings selected, we want to press bevel, because obviously there's still no definition to the actual mesh. If I show you, there's no actual definition. So select those rings, press bevel, So we can start to see that this is now split it. So if I show you, so if I put this really small, you can see what it's done. So it's split those rings into more edges and it's spread them out. So I've got two here, but I want one in the middle because I want to be able to move a middle ring in without moving all of this stuff here. So I want these two here as a way to stop it from pushing in all the other geometry. But I'm going to put my segments to 2. So I've got 3 rings on each of these now. So before it was 1, now I've got 3. So then click off that, and we don't have that menu pop up anymore. And we want to double click the middle one. So once we've double clicked the middle one, we just need to move these in. So move them in a little bit, so depending on how much you want it. So I'm going to move it in that much, and we can see it's starting to get definition, so we can start to see it. A way to really make this pop is to select the outer rings, so not the one that we pushed in, but all the other ones. Select these, and then press bevel again. So I'm just going to leave it like that, but you might want to have it a little bit less defined or more defined. It's up to you, but I'm going to leave it as default 0.5. So now we can see it's very defined. So we've got each of the rings of the archery target, so this is where we'd start to colour them different colours, so red, blue, green, whatever. But then we've still got this harsh edge on the side, so I'm going to double click this and double click this, and then press bevel, and it's going to smooth out that as well. Because usually these are made out of chiselled wood or bits of straw that are tied together, so you wouldn't really have harsh edges. So I'm going to treat this as carved wood, but if I undo that, if I wanted to have it really smooth, so it's something like rope or hair or something like that, if I do bevel again and I increase the segments to something like 3, what we can see now is start to smooth that out. But I'm going to keep it as chiseled wood for now, so I'm going to leave that as that. Okay, so this is a nice looking archery target. So what we need to do now is we need to add the frame that this will be put on. So if I hold J and then rotate it to an angle that seems appropriate for an archery target, so something like this, and then we need to start adding the frame of that. So if I put in a box, because frames back in medieval times at the very least were made out of wooden beams, so if I start to scale this up, so I'm going to try 10, 10, 10, no, that's too small, 20, 20, 20, yeah, this seems appropriate to me. So what we need to do, scale this up, and then I'm going to duplicate this and move it off to the side. So this is going to be the one that holds it on the back, so I'm going to rotate it like that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to have some that are like the foot of the thing. So we've got this here, and we've got another one. So what we can do, we could take this and just move it and rotate it. But if I take this and I do the mirror tool, and then I change the axes to the one that then doesn't cut it out, so it seems like it's Z that we need to do. So currently this is going wild. So if I untick cut geometry, it doesn't cut what we have, it just duplicates it to the other side. So this might be if you're wanting to cut through it, you can do that, but we don't want it to cut. So currently this is looking like that, but we're not getting the look that we want. So if I then move this more to the middle, because I want it to cut through and it'll look like it's a cross beam. So if I do this, another thing that we might want to do is usually these are diagonal, so it fits, it holds the archery target in place. So I'm going to rotate this to something that looks suitable. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to increase the size of it. So I'm going to scale it up a bit more, change the move setting to object so I can move it up and down like this. So I don't have to move it down then to the side. I can just do it like this. So something like that looks cool to me. And then I'm going to do the mirror cut geometry. So then this is looking like that. So this looks cool to me, so I'm going to keep that like that. And then we're going to rotate this, scale it up, move it down, scale it up even more. And then have it something like that. So currently, if we press space, we can see a preview of what it looks like. So currently, this is a lot higher than this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that up to something that looks fine. So this seems on level to me. If we were taking our time with this, we could make this look perfect. But for now, we're just going to do a quick model. So we currently have this frame, but it's not being supported by anything. So if a wind blew in, this would all just fall down. So we need to add some supports to this. So if we add another cube in, we did it by 20, 20, 20. So I'm going to do the scale 20, 20, 20. And then move this in, rotate it, and then start to try and get it to fit. So if I scale it up, back to me, move that a bit like that. So we can see it's intersecting, but there's bits popping out. That's because we've got the same scale as this. So I'm just going to scale it a little bit inwards. So we're starting to get the frame there. So if I do the mirror again, so I'm going to do Z. So cut geometry, it's not currently cutting, so we don't really need to worry about that. As long as it looks fine, it is fine. So we've got that there. And then we need to add one here, but we need to make it a little bit thicker so that it actually supports the archery target. So again, 20, 20, 20. Go to move it. Scale it up. Put it in. So here we can see it's starting to look fine. So we need to then scale this out a bit more. So something like that. So again, if you're taking your time with it, you can make this look fancy. But currently this is looking fine to me. So once we've got this, we can then, if we want to, because what I'm wanting to do, I'm wanting to have this like rounded off wood. So something like this, like what we've got on the edge of the archery target, just to make it so it's not harsh. So if I select all of this, then deselect the archery target, so hold Control to deselect. And then I go to modeling tools, and I go to the edge selection, and just select all of the edges, make sure all of them are orange, and if I do bevel, we can do a group bevel. So this is looking a bit too much, but that's fine. So then we can do that, and then we can go into each individual thing. So go to the attribute editor, poly bevel, and then start to change the amount that is beveled if you wish. So this might look fine to you, so you can do, or you can go into each of the bevel. So go to attribute editor, poly bevel, select the one of the edges of the object that you wanted to change the fraction of, and you can start to affect this individually. So it's up to you, but you can leave it as it is. It's completely fine. And then once we've got that, we've got a nice looking archery target.